If you're a soccer fan, you remember back in the day when Wenger was the manager of Arsenal, and the running joke was that he always said that he would sign a player wherever they became good. Well, I think the new running joke in the NFL is that Matt Rhule would have drafted anyone that ended up becoming a star. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garrett, and I representing the 904 from the 602. And today, we are talking about the claim that Nebraska head coach Matt Rhule made just the other day when he was the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, and that he was going to draft quarterback Brock Purdy. He valued him very high, had him really high on the draft board, but ended up getting vetoed by the front office and the general manager and from everyone else involved. Take a listen to what he had to say the other day at Nebraska.
I think Brock Purdy is an amazing player because I played against him at Iowa State. When I was in the draft room at Carolina, I brought his name up. I said, hey, guys, he should be on the draft board. I got vetoed on that one, but you can ask Coop.
Now, I think it was about saying, but I cannot possibly take Matt Rhule's word for this. This statement is asinine on just about every level possible. So first off, you thought that Purdy was going to be a star, but you didn't even fight for him? How does that make any sense? You must not have fought too hard. If you're that passionate about something, especially because quarterback is the most important position in football, if you're that passionate and that much in the belief that he could be the guy, you're not going to fight for him? You're the head coach. Now, I don't have a wife, but if I had a wife and I had a kid, and I'm going to debate with my wife about what private school to send our kid to, and I say that this school is really good and is the best for a child's future, I know a lot of people that went to that school. They all loved it. It's a great school, great reputation. The rankings keep going up, and everyone seems to agree that that is a phenomenal school. And she vetoes that immediately. If I genuinely believe that, I'm going to get my reasoning for why I think it's the right idea and not just back down. I'm not saying that's my way or the highway. I'm not saying getting into an argument, but a healthy discussion about the issue, that is never a bad thing. If there's something that you're passionate about, that can change your future and you know will benefit you in the long run, you don't just take no for an answer and leave it at that. Matt Rhule, maybe he's telling the truth, but if he is, he's the worst negotiator ever. And if that's the case, he should not be a head coach. Again, quarterback is the most important position in football. The Panthers had the 242nd pick in the draft. This is not like we're talking about the Panthers having the 6th pick and then Purdy going 7th. You're telling me that if you like a quarterback a lot and you think he's going to be a star, that at pick 242 rolls around, you don't take him? You had to take Baylor quarterback Kalen Barnes. That was so important to your team. Seeing as he played a grand total of 0 games to you guys, had to take Barnes over a potential franchise quarterback. You couldn't even make a call to Purdy after you made that pick at 242. If you really had to take Barnes, you couldn't even make a call and say, hey, I don't know what the other team's going to offer you, but I know the Niners have the final pick of the draft. I don't know what they're doing, but here's the situation. We will make you a high priority, top paid, undrafted free agent. You have a chance to compete for the starting job. We know what Sam Darnold can do. He flamed out in New York. PJ Walker, he's not great. Matt Corral, 3rd round pick. He's a rookie. He's on equal footing as you. Same time he's coming off that bad injury at the bowl game. If you get drafted by the Niners, you're never going to start. Jimmy Garoppolo, we gave him a boatload of money. On top of that, Trey Lance traded 3 first-round picks. He's the future guy. You're going to be buried on the depth chart forever, barring anything crazy. So even if they draft you, you can come to us and be one of our top quarterbacks. And some guys do that, where they decline to get offers from other teams so you can become high-priority undrafted free agents elsewhere because it's a better situation for them. Arian Foster famously did that. The Seattle Seahawks took him. He said, no, I don't want to go there. And he ended up signing with the Houston Texans. That worked out pretty well for him. You couldn't do that. You couldn't even do that. You could still draft Barnes if you were that high on him, and you could get Purdy as an undrafted free agent, make a high pitch to him. You couldn't do that. And then on top of that, you draft Matt Corral on day 2 and say that you would have drafted him higher, and you imply that he had a 1st-round grade on the guy? How does that make any sense? Now, you can't even use the excuse of, well, I wanted to draft Brock Purdy, but we already drafted a QB with Matt Corral, so we weren't going to draft 2. You can't even use that excuse. Number one, that hasn't stopped other teams before. We saw the Colts do that in 2012. We saw Washington do that in 2012. We've seen it happen many times before. And number two, you admitted after the draft that you were still looking at acquiring another quarterback to go alongside Darnold and Walker and your pick, Matt Corral. So how does that make any sense if you still said you needed a quarterback? Why didn't you take the quarterback if you thought he was going to be good? If you knew Brock Purdy was going to be a star and the 7th round rolls around, pick 242, you're telling me you can't do that? Heck, you're telling me you can't even trade a future 7th round pick or a future 6th round pick to trade back up into the 7th and get Brock Purdy? I mean, come on. I really don't buy anything that Matt Rhule was saying. I don't know how anyone can. I really don't know how anyone can buy anything that Matt Rhule said. If he was that high on the guy, there's no way you don't draft him. You're the head coach. You want your guy in the 7th round. There was no way that a situation arose where he got vetoed to not take Brock Purdy. I highly doubt that, considering the way that the entire NFL draft played out. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that Matt Rhule is telling the truth? What are your thoughts on his time with Carolina? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, Jaguar9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguar9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.